Joel Bryant. Today's High School OT pregame show is presented by our partners at Alpaca Peruvian Chicken. Welcome in here to the press box at Kenan Stadium. Again, Ev Moesta joined by High School OT's football senior editor Joel Bryant. Again, Alpaca Peruvian Chicken, the presenting sponsor of this pregame show. Visit one of their 18 locations across North Carolina. Try their legendary flavor and their hometown pride. Visit alpacachicken.com for more details. Joel, nothing beats high school football state championships. The weekend is upon us here. What are you looking forward to most? We have 8 titles across the next 3 days at 3 different locations.
Well, some good storylines. It's some teams that haven't been here before versus some teams that have been here many times before. Some new coaches here that haven't been in the state championship game as a head coach. The 8 classifications, that's a whole deal. I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out. I just remember, when we had the subdivided championships, there were a lot of blowouts in those championships. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen here because we obviously want exciting games. Obviously, if you're those teams, you want to blow out the other team. But for our purposes, we want to see something good. It'll be interesting. It's weird being here on a Thursday. It's weird seeing grass in Kenan Stadium because they had turf for all that time. Bill Belichick didn't want the turf, I guess. The grass looks pretty good. They've done a good job maintaining it here. That stadium looks great. It's always neat to see the NCHSA logo combined with the Tar Heel and everything. It's very cool, and this place will be pretty filled up here around 8 o'clock, I think, tonight.
Again, 8 championships across the next 3 days. We will have 2 here today at Kenan Stadium. It'll be the 1A and the 8A state championship. We will preview those games in today's show. We'll have 2 more games here tomorrow. That'll be the 6A and the 7A championships. And then on Saturday, the state championships split in half. The final 4 get played. 2 will be in Hickory on the campus of Lenoir-Rhyne University. That'll be the 4A state championship and the 2A state championship. And then the 3A and the 5A title games will be played in Durham at Durham County Memorial Stadium to wrap up this weekend's festivities. But Joel, let's get right into things with today's first matchup. We're about an hour away from kickoff as the 1A state championship features Robbinsville going up against Wilson Prep. As you mentioned earlier, there's an interesting mix here in these state championships where you have a lot of teams who are here for the first time and a lot of teams who have been here plenty. That is the case with this Black Knights team. But as we heard earlier this week from Coach Lucas Ford, yes, Robbinsville has been here a lot. Yes, Coach Ford has been here a lot as an assistant. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's been through the program as a player. But for these kids who are going to take the field this evening for Robbinsville, this is going to be their first taste in the black and silver playing in a state championship. Who are some of those guys to watch for on the Robbinsville side?
Yeah, a lot of guys. Luke Love in the quarterback. Robbinsville, not really known for its passing game, but he's had a good season passing. It's always interesting when these teams like Wilson Prep and Robbinsville are going to pull out that passing game in these games, because obviously we know they're going to run it most of the time here. So that might be the difference tonight is, which team on their rare passes can take advantage like that. So that'll be interesting as well. This kid's named Kaizik Tetsatoski. I'm not sure if I can say it right. Tetsatoski.
I crushed it in the postgame show like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I could not have been more proud of myself.
Well, he's very good.
Yes.
He's a two-way player, obviously. A very good player. Robbinsville, a lot of dependable guys I noticed. They're not the biggest team. Wilson Prep will have a big size advantage on them, but the consistency and just the kind of the deliberateness they play with, I think, is going to be a nice key for them.
Again, Coach Lucas Ford, what a fortuitous year to take over for the legendary D. Walsh. His first season here as the head coach of Robbinsville. He helps lead the Black Knights to a state championship appearance. And Joel, I think one of the interesting things that Coach Ford had pointed out was, typically these Robbinsville teams, they have that star power playmaker that is getting the ball so many times over the last couple of years. And they're good for 30, 40 touchdowns a year. This is not
it's very
that type
balanced.
of team.
It's very balanced. So say his name again. Tetsatoski. Him and Isaiah Collins are the main running backs in this team. And it's interesting just how balanced everything looks from an attempt standpoint, yardage standpoint, touchdown standpoint. Wilson Prep's kind of the same way. So it's kind of interesting where we have a lot of different players who can do it, so it's really going to be just whoever's hot tonight for both teams.
We had a chance to catch up with head coach Lucas Ford earlier this week, and he dove into what makes this team so unique and so diverse with so many different playmakers able to find the end zone for the Black Knights.
This group they truly don't have that guy that has to be the man. In the past we've had guys average carrying on average probably 20 plus carries a game as a tailback or as a quarterback, using their legs plus their throwing, for 25, 30 times a game. And this year, I don't know that we have a back that's averaging over 10 carries a game. You got,
Wow.
7 Isaac Collins, 5 Kazak T, 3 Luke Lovin, our quarterback, and Benton Gibby, 24. Those 4 probably take up the bulk, and 4 Cameron Allison, they take up the bulk of our carries, but we're able to spread the ball around quite a bit to some different athletes that make us who we are. And the kids have really bought into that family aspects. They're truly selfless. I mean, they are very selfless kids that truly have a family aspect of who they are.
Truly a family aspect for Robbinsville, a very passionate community that has won over a dozen state championships in the NCHSA football history. Joel, for Robbinsville to take home another, what are going to be some of the keys against a very athletic Wilson Prep team?
Yeah, I think it's that discipline they play with. The penalty battle, I think they can probably win. Wilson Prep can get kind of loose with the penalty stuff. And I just think the kind of the community experience that they have. It might not be these players that have played in one of these games, but I'm sure some of their brothers have played. Maybe even some of their parents have played. So I think that in these guys' blood, they know how to win these games. So it'll be interesting to see if that just just the inevitability, the Thanos word, the inevitability of Robbinsville kind of takes hold here. But Wilson Prep, they've improved so much over the course of the season because they played that tough schedule to start. So if they play discipline tonight, it's gonna be hard to beat them, just the talent they have.
Yeah, I was gonna say about Wilson Prep, Robbinsville, the top seed in the 1A West. That was not the case for Wilson Prep, even though they were our favorite in the preseason to come out of the 1A East. I think the best word to use for how Wilson Prep got to this point is it was very calculated.
Yeah.
And they scheduled a really, really tough schedule.
Yeah.
It included an opening game against Clayton, who will be playing tomorrow night in primetime in the 7A state championship. And so this Wilson Prep team started the year 0-4. And at one point was 1-5.
Yep.
They have not lost since. They are here now as the East champion, and it starts with some of those really dynamic pieces on offense.
Yeah, they have a player named Trayvon Usher who there's no other way to describe him than a freak. He's a freak athlete. He does everything for them. He's played quarterback for them in the past. He's outstanding on defense. This year he's been playing with a broken foot and still has racked up almost 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns this year. Just an unreal athlete at the 1A level. Depending on his health, he's probably going to be the best player in this game if he's healthy. Very outstanding player. Ethan Nelson, their other running back, I love him as a player. They missed him last year, and he still ended up getting 1,500 yards, even missing 6 games. So there's a lot of guys in this Wilson Prep team that can do it. At quarterback, Manny Dickens, Phil Dickens' son, is kind of taking over that role. So it'll be there's a lot of people they can get you with. It's just a matter of them just kind of sticking to what they do and just not, giving the ball to Robbinsville in situations that is advantageous to Robbinsville.
Again, Wilson Prep, only their 4th year as a program. And as Joel had mentioned, Trayvon Usher, the do-it-all athlete for the Tigers, over 4,000 career all-purpose yards for Wilson Prep. He is working on a legendary career. And again, he opened this season, week 1 against Clayton, broke his foot, but he's played on it for so long it's healed now.
Yeah.
Quite incredible. Coach Dickens broke that down a little bit for us earlier this week, and how special Usher is and just how dynamic several of the players are on this Wilson.
The biggest thing, it prepared us for the adversity that we would run into. The second round of the playoffs against Southeast Halifax, a game we expected to win big. Going into the fourth quarter, we was down, I think, 32 to 20 or something like that. We scored 42 points in the fourth quarter. Our guys never, flinched because we had already gone through it. And actually, even as a coach, I've learned a lot from the programs that we played and took a little bit from every team, man.
Yeah.
And of course, like I said, those that know football understood what we were doing, but that's the sad part. The community, even some of the, the people that look just like you, wear the same clothes, didn't understand it, and that was the rough part. It was real rough.
Again, Wilson Prep just stuck with the process there, even though they were 1-5. They find themselves exactly where they want to be, Joel. But the biggest thing for the Tigers is they have to get that one more win to secure their first state championship in program history. What's it going to take from Wilson Prep tonight against a really experienced Robbinsville team?
Yeah, again, they just can't beat themselves. They have the size advantage. They have the speed advantage. They probably have the athleticism advantage. They have a guy in this line, Reginald Holmes, who's like 380 pounds. They list him at,
You can't miss it.
which is just unreal. I'm not sure if Robbinsville has seen someone like that this season. They also have another 300-pounder, a couple other guys over 250. So the good size in this team, it's just the discipline, right? You can't give yourself, these long down distances with penalties. You can't just make sloppy mistakes with the ball. If they play just even mostly disciplined today, I think they probably win the game.
Again, that's the 1A state championship set to kick off in about an hour right here at Kenan Stadium on the campus of UNC in Chapel Hill. That is the 1A title game. We'll have full coverage from that one, including press conferences, highlights, photos, story, you name it, today on HighSchoolOT once that game goes final. We will also have some predictions here at the end of the show for this game, but for right now, a quick message from our partners at Alpaca Peruvian Chicken.
Alpaca Peruvian Chicken is great at office lunches, team lunches, tailgating, and football games. Place your next catering order at Alpaca so you and your friends can enjoy the best rotisserie chicken in the area. Taste their legendary flavor and homemade pride at 18 locations across the Triangle, Fayetteville, Mebane, Wilmington, Sanford, and now Wilson. Alpaca Peruvian Chicken, home of North Carolina's favorite chicken and a proud supporter of high school OT and football teams across the state.
Get the Triangle sports leader anytime, anywhere with the new app from 99.9 The Fan. If it's live on The Fan, you can listen on the app. Plus, all your favorite podcasts at your fingertips. Download the 99.9 The Fan app today.
Are you craving chicken? Download the Alpaca Peruvian Chicken app to gain access to exclusive offers and earn rewards by eating the food that you love. New members who sign up will receive a free entree. Again, that's the Alpaca Peruvian Chicken app. Taste their legendary flavor and homemade pride at 18 locations across the Triangle, Fayetteville, Mebane, Wilmington, Sanford, and now Wilson. You can visit them online at alpacachicken.com and catch the Alpaca Chicken Game of the Week each Friday night on HighSchoolOT.com.
Welcome back to Kenan Stadium here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. You're watching the HighSchoolOT pregame show presented by Alpaca Peruvian Chicken. Visit alpacachicken.com, or you can download their mobile app if it's your first time downloading the app. Sign up, you'll get a free entree there by 18 different locations across the state of North Carolina. Experience their legendary flavor and their hometown pride. Again, that is Alpaca Peruvian Chicken, the sponsor of today's pregame show. We just went through...
Well, for people that are traveling here,
yes,
that don't know what Alpaca is,
one right down the road in Chapel Hill.
Definitely try it. Definitely try it. It's very
right
good.
Down the road. Alpaca Peruvian Chicken, the app, the website, all of that. Again, we're thankful as the presenting sponsor of this pregame show. We just covered the 1A state championship between Robbinsville and Wilson Prep. The nightcap here on Thursday will be the 8A title game, and that'll be two teams who are making their state championship debuts. It'll be Huff, the champions from the West, the 1 seed, up against the 2 seed from the East, the Millbrook Wildcats. Joel, this could be one of the best games that we see all weekend long. And as we've talked about for a couple weeks now, because they had the bye, this is a game that is going to be loaded with star power. Let's start with that Huff team. Who are some guys to watch for on the offensive and the defensive sides of the ball?
It's going to take a while. So quarterback Ethan Royal, he came into Huff as a freshman. He's from the 910. He's from the Clinton area. We knew about him when he was in middle school. And he had, I guess, some verbal offers coming into high school. So we wanted to see him play, but he was behind Trey Blakeney for 2 years coming into this season. Now he's the full-time starter. He's been very good, especially, as a dual threat player, because he has the arm talent, but what he's been able to do as a dual threat guy has been very interesting as well, and he's only a junior this year. Weapons-wise, Tyron Evans, the Miami commit, 4-star receiver, 6'3". He has missed some time this year, but I do believe he is back. Kind of an unusual player in high school to cover. I think that's going to be one of the keys tonight is Millbrook's cornerback play versus Tyron Evans and the other receivers there. Jameer Anderson, the other receiver that stood out to me in that Myers Park game, which is why I'm kind of comparing this game to is the Myers Park Huff game from earlier. Anderson kind of took over that fourth quarter, just making big plays. So they have lots of options there.
Kind of bolted them into what has turned out to be a really good season.
Yeah, they have lots of options there in the passing game. And, of course, the thing that I think really sets Huff apart, and it has been for the past couple of years, is the offensive line. They probably average 300 pounds on the offensive offensive line. Amari Lawrence Broom, the right tackle, kind of a mauler there. Jarvis Potts, the right guard, going to App State. They have some guys up there who are very big, but also talented. So it's not just like guys are just like big and just like a coach sees them in the hallway, like, hey, get out there. And like these guys are actually talented. So they're very, very solid up there. Run game wise, Jamarian Morrison, the sophomore.
I was going to ask about him.
Yeah.
Could he be an unsung hero in this game, or is it going to be really tough against that Millbrook front seven?
And that's the thing. I think Millbrook leads the state in run defense. Yep. When I ran the numbers, they are giving up 2.02 yards per rush, which is insane. I think Huff is the second best I've seen this year, and they are 3.03. So that's a whole yard better. Millbrook's run defenses, and obviously, we can get into the whole who they play discrepancy. We can get into that later, but that's still very impressive no matter what. So Millbrook's defensive line is going to be equipped to do that. I just have to wonder if what happens in this game is just like that Myers Park game, where just the Huff passing game just keeps trying at it and trying at it and finally breaks through maybe in the second half, once they can kind of get a handle on that Millbrook defensive front, that front seven.
Now, on the defensive side of the ball for the Huskies, obviously the conversation starts with the Texas commit Samari Matthews, but he's one of many impact players on the Huff defense.
Yeah, there's a ton. Samari Matthews, 4-star corner. He's been the best cornerback in the state since he's been in high school. I think he's right away as a freshman. I think he had maybe some rough games early in non-conference, but after that, he's
one of the best boundary corners I've ever seen in high school.
Yeah, he's going to erase an entire side of the field. No matter where they put him, they're going to put him on boundary, whatever. They're going to have him follow somebody. I don't know what they're going to do, but he's going to erase whatever's there.
And it's going to be interesting as well, because Millbrook really likes to roll Bryson Gray out of the pocket and kind of get him to kind of bootleg out there. If that's the Samari side of the field, it's not going to be open.
Yeah, so it's a huge advantage having someone like that. I think he's underrated in the recruiting rankings. I think, he started out, top 20 in some of these. I think the Rivals one had him like in the teens, but he's just slowly slipped down all the rankings since then, which I don't understand because he hasn't been targeted. Maybe it's because of lack of interceptions, but you can't intercept the ball if you're not getting thrown at. Not getting thrown at is what you want out of a corner. So just an incredible player. LJ Porter transferred to Huff from Charlotte Christian. He's kind of this guy who kind of started out as like a running back safety deal at Charlotte Christian. I think they're playing him at linebacker now. He's bulked up a lot. He's going to ECU next year. Really good player. And kind of next to him, that middle area, Ryan Peterson, the sophomore linebacker. I think his first offer came after his freshman year from Alabama. So that's the kind of talent we're talking about here if you're getting that kind of offer after a freshman season. So they have guys at pretty much every spot of the defense that are going to be playing at the next level. And really, it's just the scheme for Huff. The defensive coordinators, Jamel Bird and Chachi Sullivan, these guys have some pretty elaborate rushes that they come up with, and they'll stunt guys, twist guys, they'll blitz some guys. It's going to be hard for Bryson Gray and Millbrook just kind of get used to it. I think maybe by the second half, they might kind of like, okay, this is what they're doing. Like, I can see this coming now. But I think at first, it's going to be a lot to deal with.
Both defenses really elite. Since October 1st, Huff's defense has only allowed 4 touchdowns. Since October 1st, Millbrook's defense has only allowed 4 touchdowns. So this could be a defensive slugfest here in Chapel Hill. Now let's talk a little bit about the Wildcats. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. A healthy Bryleson McCullers could pay dividends for Millbrook, because throughout this entire postseason, he has not been that. Maybe the bye week could have been a very big blessing for the Wildcats to get them to full strength.
Yeah, maybe even the fact they can practice at least one day this week. Maybe that'll help them. But yeah, Bryleson McCullers, he came into Stannerson High School as a freshman and was like instantly a 1,000-yard rusher. Spent 2 years at Stannerson, comes over to Millbrook before last year, still the same player here. Obviously, Millbrook's offensive line this year is really solid. They have Coach Jenks coaching that group. If he's healthy, that's going to be a nice advantage for them. I think the plan for Millbrook has to be to try to control the clock in the run game. Huff's run defense is very good, but still not quite as good as Millbrook's defense just by the numbers. But if you can find little creases, you can just keep the ball and try to keep that Huff offense off the field and, reduce their chances that kind of breaking through. I think that's probably the best avenue for Millbrook, especially the passing game. Like when it hits, when it's clicking is really good, but it hasn't been clicking all the time. And it's going to be hard for that passing game to click tonight just based on what Huff has in the back end of their defense.
And while, a guy like Boogie Morrison could be an unsung hero on Huff's offense, I kind of look at a guy like a Malachi Gilchrist, who it's easy to kind of overlook him when Millbrook has some 6'2", 6'3" wide receivers on the outside. It feels like if you were to have a route chart of what Malachi Gilchrist runs in a game, it's everything.
Yeah.
And it always feels like Millbrook does a really good job offensively of dialing up the right time to hit Gilchrist, and it always seems to burn teams for a dagger.
Yeah, you always like a receiver that pretty much can run any route in the tree, and he's a really good player. If this is a kid that was taller, he would be going to a higher level. He's going to Elizabeth City State, which is still a good program. It's going to be a good fit for him. Yeah, if that kid was taller, he would be one of these higher prospects. But yeah, so they have options there. And then Malachi Thomas is the other receiver. He's 6'4" receiver. He's going to Campbell. So they have some guys there, just like Huff does in the passing game, where they can get open. It's just I just look at the Huff secondary as a whole as probably an edge over Millbrook's secondary as a whole, if that makes sense.
On the defensive side of the ball, the conversation with Millbrook starts up front with the edge rusher, Rashad Streets, obviously the top-ranked recruit in the junior class in the state of North Carolina. Yeah. You have what is possibly a future pro at linebacker in Quentin Cipher, and Millbrook has more than just them.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. They've frankly added to this defense over the years. Marquez Wilbert is a guy that came from Wake Forest High School, and he's a tremendous player. Chase Sizer is an outside linebacker, is kind of an edge rusher deal. He came from Wakefield High School. He's been really productive this season. And then Kamari St. Clair from Saracen High School is kind of an undersized interior guy, but still really productive. So the tackles for loss numbers on this team is just insane. And I think a lot of cases we see like teams with the stats are kind of like, are those stats real? I kind of trust them with Millbrook. Last year when Rashad Streets had those 26 sacks, we were like, there's no way. And we went back and watched his huddle, and I at least counted 22. Maybe they're being generous on a couple, but still, having 20 plus sacks as a sophomore.
He's lived in backfields all season long now.
And obviously he's been doing it continuously as a junior, and he's not even playing most of these games because they've just been up in so many of these games that you're pulling these guys out. So yeah, the whole front seven of Millbrook is something that people are going to really enjoy watching tonight.
Well, again, first trip for Millbrook to a state championship means a lot for the school. It's a school that's been around for over 100 years. They're only in their third, though, under head coach Lamar Marshall, and he told us earlier this week about the impact of being able to punch the Wildcats' first ticket to a state championship and what that means for the school.
Millbrook's been a special place, from the get-go, man. That's one of the reasons why I was attracted to the job. Mm-hmm. There's a great mix of kids demographically at the school. You have all God's children here, man, from all walks of life, all different types of background who are merging together to create a team in the school community. And I just think that makes for a great experience for the kids overall. Yeah. And it is a community that's used to winning. Millbrook has been a strong athletic department just overall throughout all of the sports, and including football throughout the decades. So we're just excited to climb over a couple of hurdles that have yet to be climbed over here at Millbrook, and we want to finish the deal. We're not just satisfied to be in a title game. Our goal from the beginning is to win the championship. Facing a great team in Huff, but you're supposed to have a great challenge in the championship round. So just excited about the opportunity.
Keys to the game, Joel, for this one on both sides. What is it going to take for Millbrook to be able to pull out a win? And then what are the Huskies going to need to be able to do to take home what could be their first state championship as well?
Yeah, I think Millbrook's path is through the run game. Huff has had lots of big defensive linemen before. This defensive line's not quite as big, but they're really good and skilled. I just think that it's going to be hard to run against Huff, but if you can just stay at it and be just tenacious with it and just slowly eke up the field and just run that clock, I think that's probably Millbrook's best avenue here. And then, when you have them kind of paying attention to the backfield, that's when you pull out the play action with Bryson Gray, have him roll out and maybe make a play with his feet. That's going to be the key for them, is I think they have to control the possession tonight for Millbrook.
And then on the Huff side?
Yeah, I think it was interesting watching Coach Baker, or talking to Coach Baker earlier this week, where he was pretty adamant they just have to do what they've been doing all season, and he thinks that they have a good chance. We'll see that in a second here. But yeah, I think that if Huff just, kind of like Wilson Prep, if they don't make kind of these abnormal choices, if they don't have a big penalty night, if they're just careful with the ball, they're not trying to do anything too crazy, I think that Huff does have a talent advantage in this game. So I think that if they just kind of stay true to who they are, Huff will probably come away with this one.
Huff's been a team that year after year has been knocking on the door of getting to a state championship. They haven't been able to fully knock that door down until they shut out West Charlotte 2 weeks ago in the regional final. And a big part of Huff's success, they're 13-0 going into this game, as is Millbrook, but the emergence of Ethan Royal, as Joel said earlier, Royal paid his dues, 2 years on the bench as a backup quarterback for the Huskies, and now this year he was given the keys to the car, and he has ridden it so far here to Kenan Stadium. Coach Sean Baker could not be more proud.
Me and Chachi was talking about Ethan on the way up here because we was going to play Ethan as a receiver last year and have him be the backup quarterback.
Wow.
But, I didn't want to put Ethan at receiver if he got hurt, and then if something happened to Trey, we didn't have a backup quarterback because he's just that talented. But Ethan, Ethan came to me at the beginning of the season. He was like, Coach, I'm glad I set them 2 years, because I needed to learn a lot of stuff. And, he's picked up on everything, man, protections, how we want things, reading defenses, everything like that, using his feet when he has to. But he's been a bright spot for us, man. He's a different type of guy. We probably hadn't had a quarterback like Ethan since Kenique Bonner-Stewart that can kind of run and throw it. But, his confidence level is through the roof, and I think that's been a big part for us on offense. Even with Tyrann being out most of the season, Ethan has everybody's confidence at an all-time high.
Well, that is Huff head coach Deshaun Baker here. We're about an hour away from kickoff in the 1A state championship. That 8A title match between Millbrook and Huff will follow at 8 o'clock. You can already start to feel the buzz around here. You've got the Wilson Prep marching band already sounding phenomenal down here.
They have a good-sized band.
Yes, they do. And they don't have a ton of bleachers at Wilson Prep, so they back it out, and they sound phenomenal.
I think what will be interesting for people seeing Wilson Prep for the first time is this is not a big school at all. There's like 200 kids in this school, and there's a lot of football players. There's a lot of people on the band, I guess. So it's a very kind of a high extracurricular school there, where they have lots of players who are, just a big chunk of the enrollment there.
So before we go here on the HighSchoolOT pregame show, I think everybody wants to see this or hear this. Predictions. Let's start with the 1A game. What do you expect out of this one, Joel?
I think I had Wilson Prep 22-15 in this game. I could see it going either way. I could see the experience, that communal kind of knowledge that Robbinsville has in these games. I could see that winning for them, but I just think that Wilson Prep, if you just go, spot by spot, I think Wilson Prep's probably more talented than them. But then again, it's like this is the first time for them here. You don't know what can happen in that situation. Playing at 4 o'clock on a Thursday, we've never done that before, so something weird could happen. I don't know. But I do think Wilson Prep's probably slightly more talented, so I'm going with the Tigers 22-15.
Yeah, I like the athleticism of the Tigers as well. But yeah, it all comes down to, are you ready for this moment? Are you ready for this stage? Everybody's going to have nerves out there, but at the end of the day, when we've seen a lot of these state championships, and more often than not, talent and athleticism, no matter how close it is, it's kind of that deciding factor there. So I think I'm going to go Wilson Prep as well. 8A, what are you expecting from the Huff Millbrook game?
Yeah, I think, with the way that Huff beat West Charlotte a couple weeks ago, 24-0 in a regional final, and that's the West Charlotte team that's very talented. They have a really good quarterback, Jamari Nichols. They have a really good receiver, safety, Davion Jones. This Millbrook team, I think, is kind of similar to that West Charlotte team, is what I was thinking about more and more, especially at quarterback. I think those are similar players. Just the fact that Huff shut them out 2 weeks ago, it's just hard for me to really imagine Millbrook's offense being able to, frankly, overcome the defense today. I have Huff winning 28-13. I think it could be a situation where it's kind of close most of the game, and then maybe Huff in the fourth quarter really starts to lean on him in the passing game, finds some deep shots down the field, and Giant takes advantage that way.
I would hope you would do. I think Huff is favored in this game. I hope you would do the same with your Heritage Huskies, and I know our colleague J. Mike Blake would do it with his Western Harnett Eagles. Huff's favored. I feel like I have to say my alma mater. They might lock the doors shut next time I try to go there if I don't pick them. I'm going to say Millbrook by 3, but it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I think regardless it's low-scoring, maybe a 13-10, a 10-7 possibly in this one. But
it would be very funny if we've been talking about the defense for 2 weeks.
And then the offenses go crazy.
If we get just like a 40-40 game,
yeah,
that'd be kind of funny.
I'll throw away everything we've talked about all year if that ends up being the case in this one. But 1A and 8A state championships are right around the corner here. High School OT will have full coverage for you. If you go to HighSchoolOT.com right now, you can see all of Joel's previews, his picks, roster breakdowns. You're not going to find that anywhere else. And you're also going to get full statistical breakdowns for all of the state finalists in there as well. You can also look at where the game will be streamed, what ticket prices are, parking. Plenty of time to still get out here to Chapel Hill and check out this one. But also, if you want to watch the game, it'll be on the NFHS network, and it will also be streamed on your local television stations. That'll be through the Sinclair Broadcasting Group. We have information on HighSchoolOT.com if you want to watch the game there. We will come back with the post-game show. We'll carry the press conferences live. We will have a live blog going on HighSchoolOT.com. If you're not able to watch the game or listen to it, Joel will be updating a live blog on the front page of High School OT, so you can get all of your updates there. We'll have coverage on social media, highlights, photos, everything you could imagine. We are right in the thick of state championship season here. Anything else to add, Joel, before we go?
No, I was ready for it. We see Robbinsville and Wilson Prep just came out, actually, so it's going to be really exciting here in an hour or so.
I think we need to get down there, check out a little bit of that. But again, for Evan West and Joel Bryant, this has been the High School OT pregame show presented by Alpaca Chicken. Again, one last time, you can visit alpacachicken.com, find one of their 18 locations in North Carolina, check out their legendary flavor and their hometown pride. You can also download the Alpaca Peruvian Chicken app. You can get a free entree if you sign up for the app, and you can also book catering. They have some wonderful catering options as well. But for Evan West and Joel Bryant, we wish the 4 teams participating today the best of luck. And again, we will be back for the High School OT postgame show presented by Talk It Out NC tonight. And we will have our first 2 football state champions crowned here in North Carolina.